thanks for joining us, everybody. Questions for our student athletes? We'll start with Justin.
Leroy, just talking about, nice to meet you first.
Nice to meet you.
Just take us through your recruitment to Arizona, how all that started, and why you decided to come here.
Yeah, so many of you guys don't know, I went to JUCO right after high school for 2 years. And, I wasn't really recruited my first year. And then my second year, I kind of blew up. And, I know as much as Coach Danny, don't like me for this, but, at first I was committed to West V. And, I took my trip up there. I really liked it. And then I already got a call to coach by Joe Salvea. He called me right after my trip. It was a big surprise. And, he let me know, he's hopping on the Arizona train. He said he would love for me to, hop on with him. So that's how I got here.
And then you said you blew up in your second year. What allowed you to just go from year one to year two and have that kind of year?
Well, I would just say, my maturity from year one to year two. Year one coming right out of high school, I don't think I really took it as serious, as I should have. And then second year, I know like it's my last year. If I don't make it, then I don't make it. So, just continue to grow my game and, take it serious more than the first year. I think that's what really made me blow up.
For Gio, you're obviously sort of expanding your role, getting a little bit more playing time, getting more opportunities. How would you describe what the sort of the process has been like over the course of your freshman year as you're learning the ropes here in college football?
I would say my process is just growth. Like, I just got to grow to be the best player for this year and next year. So whatever role they have me playing this year or whatever I have to do to get on the field this year to grow as a player for next year, then that's what I'm going to take to do, to be the best player for this team this year and next year.
When you had some plays that maybe you probably thought you should have made earlier in the season and you didn't come down with the ball, what lessons did you take from those plays that maybe you applied to,
Yeah.
additional opportunities that you get?
Well, we just look over the film with Bobby, everything that, like, all the little things that led to me not making the play. Like, did I let up on the release, or did I not swipe his hand down? Did I not look up for the ball, or all that? Just the little things to just make sure I do it next time. We just honed in on them, and then we got it fixed. So.
Have you learned that you can't get away with that stuff at this level?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a different game. They're a lot better players. High school, it was just, I was kind of faster than everybody, so I just really used that and used my athletic ability that I was given to just take over in high school, which was a lot different here.
Justin?
Gio, can you take us through your touchdown? Just describe the emotions and the feelings of scoring your first career touchdown.
Yeah, before that drive started, I was told I was going to stay on the field when we went back in 11 personnel. So we were in 20 at first, and then we ran a play. I caught the little screen for 3 yards, and then I stayed on the field for 11, and then we checked the play we had. It was a little dig route that I had, caught that, and then it really was just like, well, run fast at that point. Coach B being on me about that all week, about just playing fast, used my ability to the best that I can. So that's what I did, just ran fast and then got to the end zone.
And then Leroy, can you talk about the transition from junior college to here, and the process and just kind of the early stages when you got to Arizona, and some of the things you had to work through?
Yeah, I would probably say, it was a big reality check because, JUCO wasn't really, I wouldn't say as hard as it is right now. Practices, my first practice in spring, I would say I still getting used to, like, the scheme and, just running to the ball. Just more and more practices for it. I feel like I got more used to it, and, just being with Coach G and Coach Joe, just on me every day, about, just trying to be my best. I think that was a big step up, from spring to now.
Michael?
Leroy, you said you had visited West Virginia, and you were maybe considering going there until Joe Salavea calls you.
Right.
When Joe Salavea calls you, what is your reaction? Did you know him before? Does that just carry a lot of weight?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did know him before. I knew of him. He had came by to recruit one of my teammates when he was at Florida, and when he called me, I probably had the biggest smile on my face, you know, for him just to give me that call and say, you know, I want you here, you know, I'm gonna be your coach, you know. I really love that about it. So, you know, I'm happy I'm here now.
Sure. And now that you've been coached by him, what are some of the points that he tries to emphasize to you and your group on a daily basis?
Probably the, you know, our technique and our fundamentals, you know, just striking, just be able to get off the ball. You know, probably say this last bye week was a really good week for us because, you know, we slowed it down. You know, we went back to the fundamentals that we were doing before our season, and I think that really helped us, you know, get this big win over Colorado.
And what have you learned, you know, playing alongside guys like Tia Savea and Deshaun McKnight, you know, two guys that share your position but maybe a little bit older?
Yeah, you know, I really love playing by them. You know, Tia, he taught me, he's been teaching me a lot, you know, film-wise, you know, off the field, and just being able to, you know, watch Deshaun on the field, it's crazy, like, see how fast he is to move at his size. You know, I really get a lot of hope from him and Tia, you know, just being able to be by their sides, you know, at practice, you know, giving me the ins and outs of what it takes to be a D lineman, you know, just being fast and being strong is what I really love about them.
And so far, what has been your favorite part about the experience of playing at Arizona? Do you have like one moment that really stands out to you?
I'll probably just say, you know, just, you know, being on that field, you know, everybody around us, you know, the student section, the fans, you know, everybody just watching us, like the 11 guys on the field. That's just it's a eye-opening moment for me because, you know, last year I wasn't, you know, we probably only had like 20 fans in our stands. So, you know, that's what I really like about Arizona.
So, sort of similar question for you, Gio. How would you describe the relationship that you and Isaiah have with the older receivers in the league?
Yeah, me and Isaiah's relationship, first of all, is great because we went on our when we were getting recruited here, me and Isaiah both had the K-State offer. So we both took our OV to K-State, and then we just grew up there because Trey Spivey was my host at K-State. So, because he's an Arizona kid, of course. And then we were all kicking it there, and then he was like, yeah, I'm taking an OV to Arizona next week. I was like, me too, bro. Like, that's crazy. So we both went over there, and then we just clicked ever since. And then I think our relationship together, seeing us come in, the older guys seeing us how we clicked was just well, we already knew some of Trey. I played high school with against Trey and all that. B. Phelps, Arizona kids. So I feel like I was already kind of connected to the room. And my relationship with Bobby is Bobby recruits great people. So personality wise, so it wasn't hard for me and Mizell to get brought into the group. I feel like it was actually very easy. We have a great personality in the group. Everybody enjoys working with everybody and pushing everybody to be better. So
did Bobby talk to you guys at all about the penalty that he got at Houston? And did he have any sort of lessons or?
Yeah, I mean, you can always grow from a penalty. So he really wasn't really that big of a deal for him in the film in our room. He didn't really sit down in the receiver room talking about how he got a penalty. So no.
For both of you guys, you kind of had this breakthrough this last week after two really close losses, and Coach Brennan said practices were really physical and aggressive, and there was an anger that you had. So you had that motivation, right? What is the motivation now going into this week? What is that primary?
I would say our motivation is for this week is just to get the next month to work with each other. We want to play another month together, so we just got to keep working to play that another month together.
I'll probably say, you know, motivation is just, you know, just the next day trying to be great, and you know, watching this next opponent, Kansas. They're a really good team. You know, Jaden Daniels. I see he has a good arm. You know, he could run the ball well, and you know, our motivation is just planning to get after Jaden Daniels, and you know, that's all we need.
Gio, Noah is 3 touchdowns away from becoming the all-time touchdown leader in Arizona history. Do you guys ever talk about that?
No, I think Noah's a very humble guy. I don't think that's really what he's thinking about right now. I think he's really just thinking about being the best player he can for this team and building the best players around them. So I don't really think he is focused. I haven't talked to Noah personally about him being that close to it because I really ain't even know that. So, not really.
Leroy, over the last couple games, we've seen more production out of Zach Cialepa. What do you make of just kind of the personality, the person that he is, and what does he bring to the defensive line?
I love Zach. You know, we always talk. We always talking off the field. You know, just for him to be able to move like that at 400 pounds, it's crazy. You know, that's just kind of motivates me to, you know, try to run faster because Zach runs fast for a big guy. And, you know, I just love being around him. You know, he's funny. You know, he's a hard worker, too. You know, he comes every day. He wants to work. And, you know, he's right there beside us wanting to learn. And I really love Zach.
And what do you guys do as a defensive line group to, you know, spend time with each other and develop that camaraderie and chemistry?
You know, outside of the field, you know, we're always hanging out with each other. You know, either if it's two of us, you know, or three of us or the whole group. You know, we just love to spend time with each other outside, you know, take some steam off and get right back to it the next day at practice.
And what do you think about the Polynesian influence that this program has?
I really like it, you know. It's probably the most polys I've played with for a long time. And, you know, just being able to see, you know, the Samoan culture, the Hawaiian culture, because I don't really know that much until I really got here. You know, just being able to play with Julian and Mace, you know, see where they come from, and me, you know, Gavin, Hunter, and Nella, you know, being from Hawaii, you know, talking to me about, you know, where they came from and how they grew up. You know, I really enjoyed being with them.
Finish up with Michael.
One for Gio and then one for both. It seems like the chemistry is better the last few games between the receivers and Noah than maybe the first few games. Do you think that's just more reps, more time? Is it overall like everyone's just kind of more comfortable with the terminology and the system? What do you think that is?
I would just say that's like football. We get better the longer we play, so I would just say we're starting to click, and I think we're about to have a big turnover soon.
And for both of you guys, who do you think is the best singer on the team?
Best singer?
Nella, probably.
Probably say Chuba or
Sue
June.
can sing, right?
I think Sue could sing.
I don't know. I don't know, to be honest.
I'll probably say Chuba.
All right, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
This will be just 2 minutes. You ready? All right. Well, first off, I owe Mr. Spears here a huge apology, okay? Last week as I was going on my rant, I called it Shearer and Ali, which Coach Shearer has his own set of information to handle. So, Justin, I apologize because Spears and Ali is a fantastic show with that huge basketball win last night by the Wildcats. I mean, outstanding. And you still, my wife told me you still talk about football. And the big deal, I mean, when people spell my last name with a Z, like my wife is ready to come unglued. So calling you Shearer and Ali, I apologize for that, okay? The opportunity that you guys get to hear from other guys in our staff is huge because when I sat up here in March with Joe, we talked about how excited I was to work together and have the opportunity to work with him. It's been unbelievable. He did save the Leroy Palu. Like Leroy, we got on a visit here before we'd hired Joe, and then he goes on to visit West Virginia, and he committed to West Virginia, by the way. So I had to call in Joe, and Joe talked him off the ledge to come back here. So, I mean, the impact that they've had and then what Bobby's done with the receivers, like I talked about last week, unbelievable. And then the only comment I'm going to make about the game, okay, because Jen has been taking a beating for the long ball on the second down. If you go back on YouTube and watch the clip, it's really elite communication by them because it was an illegal formation is what the penalty was called. And so they had two guys on the line of scrimmage. When they shifted tight end, you see Boog tell Dalton ineligible, meaning if the number 2 receiver runs downfield, it's a running play. They can't throw it downfield, it's illegal. So you see Stooks pointed out, you see Dalton pointed out, so Jen's coming downhill on the running play when he started to come downhill, and they throw it over the top, well, Jen's chasing it from behind because it's natural play. But those guys did a great job of identifying that they can't throw the ball downfield, it's illegal. So Colorado had made a mistake on that play right there. So I thought that stuff's elite. I mean, we're up to 15th in the country in total defense. But if you look at the real number of yards per play, we're 8th in the country in yards per play out of 537 plays at 4.37 yards. Like, that's elite. And that's because of Joe. That's because of Josh Bringell, because of Ars and Chip Viney. Like, what those guys are doing on the defensive staff on the side of the ball and helping me put together the plan every week, and the credit that goes to those guys for how hard they're playing, how physical they are, and those elite communication at those moments and why we've been able to do stuff. Now, you can get after Joe about this quarterback run stuff, okay? Okay, stop blaming me. Coach Alabama? No, 100% on me. I told you we should be 7-1 if it wasn't for me. But getting the opportunity to listen to these other guys is fantastic, because the staff that Coach Brennan has put together is unbelievable. So I'm honored to be with them. But, one, I apologize. It's Spears and all. It's a great show.
With that being said, Joe, Leroy Palu's recruitment, tell us about just the conversations that you had and just what he's been able to do in year one.
He's the one that we thought showed tremendous toughness, not flashy, but he's been reliable, steady. We look at the film every time we're grading, he keeps showing up. And he's starting to gain confidence in understanding concepts. And that's the biggest thing, the ability of other guys to be able to grasp the concept, because now it's allowed Coach Danny to open up the plethora of the things that he's accustomed to. And so now we just need to make sure that we're detailing. But, he started for us last week, and he's going to continue to gain momentum, and we're excited. I'm just on him about not scooping and scoring, because we drill those. But it's if you can get 3 or 4 Palus every year, then you're good, because it's all about trust, accountability, and being reliable to be there for us. So that's what Palu is for us.
And did he get his first career start last week? Was that
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And what led you to make that decision, and how have guys like Tia and Deshaun helped you as far as mentoring him and getting him?
Well, we're always discussing as a staff about we don't have a set depth chart. We have an organizational chart, and those are earned every week, every day, and we're always discussing that leading up to the end of the week to see who's been consistent. And Tia, Leroy, Deshaun, those are all starters. They just can't be on the field at the same time. But you look at the amount of plays that they play each game. Even last week, they all play a good amount. So, but the goal is, how can I do a job to make those guys play faster and not think too much? And it is so awesome to have the buy-in on their part, because if the kids are not buying in, it really doesn't work. So we as a defensive staff, we just try not to mess it up, put them in a position, it's like in a school bus. You're trying to situate them in the best seat so that they can be on their way. And so that's what we're about now. And in this part of the season, man, it's about detailing and streamlining things so that we can play even faster. And it's so awesome to see the guys respond to that. And we don't have too many rules on our side. You just can't break down, and you can't come up any less than your absolute best effort and finish and physicality. Those are the things that we've been preaching to our guys, and we're excited for this opportunity this week.
One question for each. For Bobby, Gio was in here earlier, and there were some plays early in the season he had opportunities to make and didn't necessarily make them. It seems like he is doing so more now. Where have you seen the growth out of him over the course of the year?
Just consistent work ethic. I think it's important to understand he is a true freshman. There's going to be mistakes made, opportunities. You want him to make those, and he wants to make those, and sometimes he doesn't come down with those, and it happens that way. So you just come back to work. But Gio's been great about, bringing the same energy, being consistent every single day, putting the work in the classroom, being able to take, the learning from the room and applying it onto the football field. And as fast as he can go is as much as he'll play. And so that's why you're seeing him get more opportunities now. So I'm just really pleased with his progression and how far he's come.
And for Joe, what was the timing of you getting hired and reaching out to Leroy? And then how did you even know about him?
I really didn't play a big part other than because I missed the young man. And when I got here, immediately Coach Danny and Brendan said the young man was here earlier, and he's actually at West Virginia. Chatter has that he had committed to Rich Rod and the staff there. And so all we had tried to do, all I was trying to do is just trying to see if I can have a conversation and can really lay out the plan. Because I've seen coaches' body of work, Coach Danny and being with Coach Rocky Long in the past, so I'm familiar with some of the concept. I just felt like a kid like Pablo, after looking at his film, he would be a good fit just from being accountable and consistency. And we were just grateful that the young man gave us a chance to listen to the things that we laid out. And that's the biggest thing, is just we had to make sure that the development plan was a real one. And so that in the world of recruiting, there's so many sales pitch, right? And at the end of the day, we have to stand on our work. And it was just so cool that Leroy gave me a chance to kind of really lay that out, how he's going to be developed, because his strength is not the same as Tia, it's not the same as Deshaun. So as a coach, we have to identify their strength and quadruple that, and then work on the things that they need improvement on. But as far as the opportunity to be a pinnacle part of what we came here to change, the culture and the transformation of the program, he needed to be here with us to have a chance to build the front line. Like any approach, it starts up front, and he's going to continue to work for the things that he's going to earn, and I'm so fired up for him and the rest of the guys.
Justin?
Bobby, how do you reflect on, or can you share about the penalty against Houston and what happened on the sideline?
Wow, man, that was just all on me, just not being aware. I knew exactly where the guy was, and, I felt like the play was already done, and, it just kind of bumped into me.
The problem is he still thinks he's playing, so he's probably visualizing him coming across. It happens to all of us,
It happens.
But she.
It happens. It happens.
Oh, God.
So we've seen Luke Wyson start to become really an effective punt returner. You played that position as well. How's it been like just coaching him in that position, and how has he done so far this season?
Luke is the ultimate team player. Just his patience and waiting for his opportunity to get back there. He knew he's been capable to be able to do that. So we're just kind of shuffling around a couple guys prior to him. So him just being patient, being consistent, showing up every day, and waiting for his opportunity. And obviously you see his ability when he has the ball in his hand. He's very consistent. He works at it. He wants to make the right decisions back there. So I'm just really excited that he gets that chance to be able to show that skill set back there.
I think some of us are maybe kind of a little bit surprised of Spivey's speed. Is that something that he has developed since he's gotten here, or is that something that he's kind of always had in his bag?
He's had that in his bag. I think what's developed is his confidence within it. He's always had that part of that, but more or less, what you're telling him and when those opportunities present for him, and what he's hearing in his head is about finish, finish, finish. And then, there's some technique to it. When you get to the edge, instead of stopping your feet, when you're 6'4", you're that big, playing behind your pads, lowering your pads and running through contact. So a lot of that is just constant encouragement for him, understanding that he can do that when he does get in the open field, make guys tackle him instead of stopping his feet and allowing them to get to his legs. And it's really not much different, honestly, to what the conversation was with T-Mac when I first got here, because that was a major challenge for him too. It's just, hey man, you got to learn how to run with the football and finish these runs. And the biggest point was that you are fast enough to do this, and you got to believe in yourself to be able to get that done and just trust it. And that's what Trey has been able to do.
Michael?
One question for each of you. Bobby, Brian Urlacher was here last week, and we were talking to him about various things, and you were teammates with him. He seemed a little surprised that I don't know if you saw this, that you were a coach.
Yeah.
I think the implication was that you've matured a lot.
That's great. I love that.
Are those like your growth as a person, your maturity as a person, and remembering how maybe you were when you were college age? Is that something that you can use when you're talking to kids who are currently college age, and maybe you relate to their experiences, or
Definitely.
like what they're journey is going to be like in life?
Yeah, no doubt about that. The experience just in life period, one, right? And then having had played this game in the same exact spot, and then, have an opportunity to play in the National Football League too. So you combine all of that together and just having a good, sort of a blueprint for these kids to be able to speak them through some stuff and, kind of foresee what's on the forecast that's going to happen, that can happen. And, we all got to go through growing pains, and we all mature at different paces in life. And, there's no doubt being a rookie in Chicago with Brian and watching those guys, just kind of how they went about their business. And me being a young rookie and understanding if this is something that I want to do for a long time, it's going to take a lot of change in where I was personally. So it's always great for Brian to notice that my maturity is definitely growing up a little bit. It's funny, I'm 44 years old. And no matter what, when somebody's older than you, they are always going to look at you as the young guy. So I will take that, and he will always be the old guy. And I texted Brian after that, and we laughed about it. But he's always been cool. When I was at school at ASU, it was great to be able to offer his son there. He's known I've been coaching for a while, and it's great to have him back in the capacity he was here for the Arizona Bowl. So it was cool.
I don't know if you're allowed to say ASU. You're supposed to call it the school up north.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. We'll leave that.
Kansas has a really good quarterback, a couple good running backs, a lot of speed on their team. They do a lot of I guess what you guys call eye candy, right? Side to side. What is your assessment of their offense and what you guys need to do?
Yeah, Coach Lupo, man, he's done it at Buffalo. He's a proven winner. You look at the film and the coaching really speaks out. Those guys are well coached. You got a quarterback, Jalen. He's a dynamic one. He's probably the one that's going to, one of the biggest challenges that we had to face because he's got a cannon of an arm, but also dynamic enough to get out of there with his feet. And so the biggest thing is for us is how can we minimize his opportunities because he's going to get his. But it starts up front. We have to be sound in what we do. They got a big line there with Bryce at the center. Familiar with Bryce because we had recruited him at other places, and he was at A&M, and now he's the starting center there. And then obviously Daniel and LaShawn, those are dynamic running backs. Those guys got good balance and power, vision, downhill runners. So, and they got a receiving core that will hurt you if you sleep on them. And so I think the guys understand the magnitude of what we're getting into at this point of the season. But with Kansas, that's what at the end of the day, that ball snaps, we had to be ready to play and be physical and execute what we're having our guys to, as far as game plan wise. But Kansas is going to do what they do, and we're going to be ourselves. I think the beauty of this matchup is it has a little bit of throwback feel to it, and I've been excited for our guys because we have an opportunity to chase, an opportunity to be one of the top defenses in the country, and so our guys are really focused on that piece. It faces opponents with an opportunity to push ourselves from the week prior, and so. But Kansas is a well-coached team. He's Coach Leopold. He's a proven winner. Buffalo or Wisconsin, Whitewater, I believe, and so he's been around the block a while, and so we're excited for our guys, and it's just funny because you had talked about our staff and Viney and RC and Bringell, but man, we have our guys in the background with Palmer and Cobra and Tariq and Dak. Man, those guys, it's been a fun bunch of guys just working together, and we get on each other's nerves, but it's about putting our guys in a position to where they're calm and being confident, and so we're willing to do whatever it takes to do that. But this is another opportunity for the program to take the next step. Defensively and as a unit, and we've never been about things outside of them being our very best. If we're being our very best by redlining, straining, executing, and then put it on film, we'll have a shot, and it's funny, I'm on a sidetrack because Urlacher came by and he had mentioned how he had choke slammed Danny Coach Danny, you know. And so I'm visualizing this, and I'm looking at Brian, and then I'm looking at Coach Danny. I said, wow. Supposedly, allegedly, it didn't happen like that. But from what Brian Urlacher put out, it was a massive WWE neck choke on the table, and so I would pay to see that again, you know. But it's the brotherhood and camaraderie that is forged in this game goes beyond football, and we're just fired up that he's nearby and another resource to our guys, because he was there with Lance Briggs, and I think Brandon Manumaluna was up there at some point. So, you know, it's cool to see coaches that went through the ringer because of our experiences. We're able to funnel that to our guys so that they can be confident, poised, and be gritty. And we're not going to shield them from bad things that happen, but at least our credibility, our body of work. It's been awesome to see the guys really just continue to buy into this, and we're just trying to, you know, elevate the standard and the culture of how we do things here in Arizona. As Coach Danny said, man, hashtag Desert Built, and we're fired up for this opportunity.
Justin?
A couple for you guys. First for Joe, Zach Ciulepa has been getting some playing time over the last couple of games. Did you have any influence on his recruitment? Did you help bring him over here? And then what's just kind of the plan for him moving forward?
Yeah, when I got in, Zach was one of the guys already signed, and he was working his way to get into being admitted. I was just gauging everything from what Coach Danny and the rest of the staff had with the process of recruiting him. The biggest thing with Zach was, how can we get the young man here first, and then can we get him on a plan to conditioning level? The football part is not a problem. It was more of getting him acclimated to those things. That young man left home, and then when I say home, it's Brisbane, Australia. And that's not an easy feat to come all the way, skip California, Arizona, and be out in Kansas, I believe. That's a long ways. And so there's a lot of that homesickness too that, you know, I had to kind of gauge from Zach where he's at mentally. But, you know, I think the last few weeks it's been really good to see him, because he's being pushed not by just me, Coach Danny, everybody's on his butt as far as just, you know, getting himself in a situation where he can at least function, and that has to do a lot with his nutrition and conditioning level, and so he's getting a lot of dose of that. It's tough for any young man to come in and be thrown in the fire in the middle of the season, but he's been able to sticking with it. But then my part as a coach is really making sure to dummy down everything so that it is not as overwhelming, you know. But to his credit, he's slowly but surely coming on. It was so cool to see him make some plays last weekend. But I think those are the things that everybody, all of his teammates, was supporting him and excited for him, because he's a young man that we really don't know, but we see a glimpse of it. And so for him to get that on the national stage in this conference is pretty cool. And the challenge is always to be better than yesterday. And so he's a young man that I'm excited for moving forward, and we're going to continue to get that body right, and he's going to be a handful. So I'm excited that he's here with us.
And then it's homecoming week. I'm sure you guys probably have a handful of teammates that are coming back. Have you guys ever been back for homecoming when you weren't on the coaching staff? And how excited are you guys for this week?
No, I have not been back for homecoming other than coaching year. I don't think so.
Yeah, this will be my first.
Yeah, this will be my first.
You know,
not my first. Obviously, last year was my first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for social media and Facebook. That's how I've been able to track things over the last few years. But no, we're excited. You know,
Yeah.
I think to that it's for the families and for the fans. Our guys are really pretty much locked in on our routine and our regimen. You know, the best way to approach any homecoming or any of those situations is winning the ball game, and it's all about the ball game. It'll be fantastic to see the alumni base and whatnot reconnected with those guys. But, you know, like Coach Bobby and myself, we're here to try to make sure that we can at least restore order to what this program meant to us and our experiences and make it better than what it was. And I think we're right in the middle of that right now. And so the homecoming is just a more of a fanfare, but we know what the important piece of it all, and for our guys, it's just to prepare our hearts out to make sure that we can take the field and do a great job of playing and competing to the best of our abilities.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, fellas.
Thank you.
All right, we're joined by head coach Wes Johnson. Kim, do you want to start us off, and then we'll open up to other questions?
So, Wes, this first year that it's not an emerging sport, right?
Still is technically an emerging sport. Yeah, we're on the verge of kind of breaking out of that emerging status.
What is the difference in when you have that status?
The difference, NCAA ends up taking over the sport. Right now it's ran by USA Triathlon. So NCAA will take over. And so once we're hoping to hit that status after this race, and then it takes NCAA around a year to learn the process and take it all over. So USA Triathlon would still manage it for another 1 to 2 years. But so it's just kind of a process for that switch to NCAA.
How many schools participate in the event on Saturday?
There will be, I believe there will be 40 schools there. Yeah, from different divisions.
How do you use the experience of last year, if you do at all, and take that into this kind of repeat opportunity?
Yeah, I think, every every year is just building on each other. I think every year we're a better team. I think the biggest difference is we're learning how to, handle pressure of being defending champions, and that's a different kind of pressure than we've dealt with before. And so we're in that process of learning that, but they're embracing it really well.
Do you talk to them about that, or do you try to not talk about it?
No, yeah, we've spoken about it, and we have an amazing psychologist that works with the team as well, and we talk about that pressure is a privilege, and learning how to handle that, and this is just the start of what they're going to be dealing with, because a lot of these athletes can get all the way to the Olympic Games and the top of our sport, and so this is amazing practice for all of them to learn how to handle that pressure at these big events. And it comes down to just focusing on the process day in, day out, and we get to the race day, and it's no different than any other race in the end. Like we're always giving our all in every single race that we do. So yeah.
And this building process, what's different this year from, say, last year as you go through this process of building this program?
Well, what's unique is that this whole group that's racing this year, no one is new. Everybody was also here last year still, and so that isn't different. I think what's different is that we were champions last year, and last year there was no pressure on us or even expectations that we would win, and this year that expectation is there, and so that's the biggest difference this year that we're learning and embracing, but at the same time focusing on the process of being our best every day.
Why do you think you guys in ASU have sort of emerged as the flagship programs in this sport?
I think ASU, I think different reasons for each school. ASU was one of the first schools to add, and so they, started early, and they started strong, and did a lot of really good things for the sport, and brought a lot of athletes and a lot of really good athletes. And then, we've, added the sport quite a few years after they did. And so we're just, I think, bringing another fresh perspective from a big school and really good program, good support, similar to what they have. And, I think that's what we're wanting more schools to add. And there are several schools that have good programs and good support and doing great things for the sport and getting into NCAA, and we're hoping to continue to grow that.
You, and kind of going off of that, you guys are constantly battling for number 1 and 2, and you just hosted them a few weeks ago, I guess a month and a half ago now, and now you're going up there for the national championship. How do you think your team has grown or changed
Since then? And I don't know if we've changed too much. I think we've learned, from every opportunity, even since then. We raced on that day, and we raced at regional championships, and several of them also raced world championships. I think through every one of those opportunities, they learned quite a bit, and they're what's unique about NCAA and like region championships, and the focus on that is learning how to race as a team. When they're at world championships, they're learning how to race for themselves. So the biggest difference is, here at our home race and at region championships, they're learning to race as a team that we can carry into national championships. Triathlon in this format, many people don't realize, is very tactical and team-oriented, and it's very spectator-friendly. If you're there, you'll realize why. And so it's, you're drafting on the swim and the bike, and so there's a lot of tactics on who's doing more work on the bike, that person's breaking the wind for you, and working maybe a little bit harder who's in front. And so there's a lot of tactics that go into that, but for that to come to play, you also have to get out of the water in the lead and in the front. So there's just a lot of things that can happen and scenarios that often can or won't happen. And so we have to be ready for all these different scenarios that do end up happening in the end. And each experience that we have at regionals and our home race and even at world championships just make them a better athlete and more well-rounded and learning how to race together and just more savvy in racing. It's a sport where it requires a lot of experience, and they're getting that experience being together as a team and racing together.
What's the recovery recovery process like in college for this sport?
Recovery process like from a race?
Yeah, between races. Yeah, from a race, yes.
Yeah, I think I think there's a, physiological recovery, a mental recovery. They give their all, and so when it goes really well, it's exciting. When it doesn't go well, it's like your heart is broken because you put so much into this, And so it's learning how to bounce back from those races. They are so incredibly fit, and they're from all the training they've done, we've built a huge foundation of training, so they end up recovering pretty quickly. What I think is more wearing is the mental fatigue from it and the travel that ends up being, especially those that traveled all the way to Australia for world championships. So that does end up taking a toll. So we have to learn how to manage that, and we monitor all their recovery, their sleep. We make sure we understand where they're at and talk to them frequently to make sure we're on the right track with that recovery process. And it can be a little bit different for all of them. Everything's very individual, so we try to touch base with them frequently to make sure they're getting what they need to recover and be ready for more training and the next race.
Is it different in the college world as opposed to, world champions and that kind of thing, or is the process the same as far as recovery? Are you racing more often because of college, is essentially what I'm asking, and is there more put into recovery because of that?
Not necessarily. I think the college races end up being a little closer to us, a little less travel. It's not international travel, so that ends up making it a little bit easier. The race that some of them did, if they're 20 or above age, they did race an Olympic distance, which is double our distance. So that recovery does take a little bit longer for sure, plus the international travel. So, we've been working hard to manage that in the last few weeks and make sure they stay healthy, and it's a lot to manage that, but it's well worth it going into our national championship.
Who on your team participated in the World Championship?
We had Molly, we had Ruth, we had Mia, and Ella. Yeah, sorry. Those four. So we had Ella and Molly do the U23, and then we had Ruth and Mia do the junior race, which was the 16 to 19-year-olds. And so they'll graduate out of that junior category and go to the U23 distance, which is U23 means like the top professionals in the world that are under 23 years old. So.
Did they all go down there? Did they all go down there together?
They did. I mean, 2 went one day, 2 went the next day on this, I believe, the same flight. So, yes, but arrived similar timing. Yeah.
What are your hopes and expectations for Saturday for your team?
The hopes and expectations are that they show up, with excitement, good energy, and to give their absolute best. If we do that, I think the outcome will take care of itself. I do believe we are capable of winning again. But when it comes down to it, we have to have our heads on straight and go into the race, feeling confident and ready. And that's what we'll do these next few days and making sure that happens.
With the pressure and expectation of getting the back-to-back national championship, what would that mean for this program and for you?
Oh, it would mean a lot. Yeah. I think regardless, I am super focused on, the process. And so I tend not to overthink the outcome until after it happens, just because we're focused on the details of swim, bike, run, and, the next step. We're focused on what we can do today to be better tomorrow, and so on. And so that's my bigger focus right now. But yeah, I mean, we're in the end, that's always the goal, is to win, and we'll do everything possible to make that happen.
Anything else for Coach Johnson? All good? All right.
you. Can you just tell about your process of getting into triathlon, both in general and at Arizona specifically?
Yeah, for sure. I'll start. So I was a swimmer my first year, so I was recruited to swim as a freshman, and then I transitioned to triathlon. I went to Wes's office and asked him if I could be on the team. So that was a little bit more of a different way to get there, but yeah, these guys were recruited.
Yeah, I grew up swimming and running as a kid, and then I got into triathlon pretty early. I think I was about 10 years old, just with like our local club in Canada. And then I raced a couple times in the States at like junior cups and that sort of thing, and Wes reached out to me at one of them. And then, yeah, history's there. He called me out and said if I wanted to come in like the fall of our first year, and I was like, yeah, absolutely. So that's how I got here.
I've been always doing a triathlon, coached by my father. So I did like the first races when I was like 5, 6. So I grew up with the sport. And actually, I met Wes at the World Junior Championships in 2023, and he recruited me and asked me to come for a visit. Yeah, and ever since then I'm here, and I love it.
Were you guys all on the team? You guys were all on the team last year?
Yeah.
That one. What do you remember most about that day? And what's something that maybe you can take from that experience that you could use to your advantage this Saturday?
I think what I remember most is the cohesion. Like, I think I've never felt more like family with like a group of friends or even teammates. I think it was just a real team win, and all of us have like that feeling and that joy, and we got to share it with everyone back at home too. So it really made us closer as a team.
Mm-hmm. And we had no expectations last year. We kind of just went in knowing that we're in good shape and we know we could fight for top 3 maybe. But then the fact that I remember Kelly said when we were running back on the last lap of the run, she was like counting people, and she's like, oh my gosh, we have enough people in like the top 10 that we might actually win this thing. And then when they told us that we won, it was just so surreal, and we didn't even know how to take it all in. I still kind of think we haven't, but yeah.
From the last year, I think it was pretty interesting. We knew we had a good chance for a very good result, even that we could win. That was actually our mantra. Why not us? But there wasn't this pressure as it's gonna be this year. But for me personally, the thing I remember the most was just before the race when Kelly brought us all together. And this was something special. That made our team stand out, that we were racing for everybody in our team, not only for ourselves, but for people not racing, for all people supporting us. And I think this was what made the difference.
What do you love about triathlon? Why is this your sport?
I would say the 2 people next to me. Like, I think that's the best part. I mean, like, there's a lot of great things that we get to do and places we get to go. Obviously, triathlon isn't, like Wes said, a championship sport yet. So we don't get the opportunity to travel like a bunch, like within the United States. But I've gotten to see places and, you know, visit friends in other countries that I never thought I would get to go to. And so, yeah, and then just, you know, I think we have a great time training in general. Like, you have to love it, or else you're just doing a lot of something you really, really despise. But
yeah, I would say the sport is pretty demanding. Like, you need to put in a lot of time if you want to get something out of it. So our training weeks often look like 20 hours of us side by side in the pool, on the bike, in the run. So I think, yeah, just finding that community around us and finding the support and just loving the process gets you pretty far.
The combination of 3 disciplines that are like very different, it's very challenging, and I feel like it's like almost like a triathlete lifestyle that you just have to love it. And the collegiate sports make it much more interesting and much more fun because you race as a team, because it's highly individual sport when we talk about Olympics and these things.
Molly, what was your experience like down in Australia?
It was so fun. I've never been there before, so I didn't fully know what to expect. And then Worlds is an amazing opportunity. It's the first time I've ever gone. I've never qualified before. And I didn't actually decide to go until like a couple weeks before. It was very last minute. So I kind of had no expectations, just go. It's also the first year I've done the Olympic distance. It's pretty long. So I'm still learning how to navigate that properly. So I think just have no weight on my shoulders, just do what I know how to do and trust the work that I've put in with the team and with Wes. And yeah, it was a really good experience. I was, I think, top 20, I think I was 24th, but I had a crazy swim. It was like one of the most wavy, most chaotic swims I've ever had, and I was I think maybe even at the back, and we played catch up with the group I was with the whole time and was able to run down about half the field, but...
Were you swimming in the ocean?
Yeah, yes.
I assume that's different than swimming in the
Yes,
pool.
very different. Gotta pay attention to currents and waves and all the above.
So you mentioned that you had collectively had no expectations going into last year. Now you're defending champions, and Coach West was talking about there's some pressure that's associated with that. How do you guys deal with that?
From where I'm sitting, like opportunities like this for sports like ours really don't come that often, and so I think like this is really why you do sports. Like, you know, just like the waking up and like feeling the nerves and all that stuff. Like, you asked why we love it, and this is probably one of those reasons. Like, what better time to just like go to war with some of your best friends than this weekend on Saturday? So we're really excited.
Yeah, I think Wes touched on it as saying pressure is privilege. So the fact that we are reigning champions and we have the chance to bring it home again would be amazing. But I think just the amount we lean on each other and the amount of cohesion we have with our team, I think really lets us raise the bar and try as best we can to take it back home.
Yeah, I think embracing this challenge as a team can be the thing that can make the difference. And
I asked Wes about the recovery process. What is it like for you as athletes between races? How do you stay mentally and physically healthy?
Yeah, it's a great question. We're still trying to figure it out ourselves. Yeah, but honestly, just, you know, making sure to eat a lot, sleep a lot, sleep often, do things that are not triathlon. I think becoming overly obsessed with it can make you really good, but can also like help you get to places where you just can't be, you know. And so focusing on our schoolwork, as maniacal as that is sometimes, but
yeah. I think a lot of communication and just trust in our training and the plan that we have, because a lot of times we feel as athletes that we like more is better. Say I didn't have a good race, I want to like go even harder and try and do better the next time, but a lot of times you just need rest and you need to be nicer on yourself, and Wes tries to teach us that, but sometimes it's hard, so yeah.
I would say it's very helpful that we as a team are a very good functional unit. When we go to races, there's usually 2 coaches with us. Usually goes an athletic trainer, student managers, which can help us carry our bags or anything. The athletic trainer is also very helpful if we need anything for recovery. Also, the very good thing is that right the day after the travel, there are very good recovery options also at the university and everything. And also, of course, coaches like take into the process also the recovery, so we have easier days. There is big opportunity to the training can be more like optional based on how everybody feels individually. So I would say it's very well handled.
yeah, shout out Jessie Johnson, if she'll ever
She's
see this. She's an
athletic
amazing
trainer.
person, yeah.
She's really good.
There's obviously a lot of U of A alums who live up in the Phoenix area, and Coach West, he was saying that he thinks it's a good spectator sport. What would be your kind of sales pitch to anyone who's curious about it if they wanted to come and see it?
We would say, obviously, we need everyone out there. I think triathlon especially, like, crowd energy and crowd noise, like, it is so inspiring. Like, I was talking to Heather, one of the amazing parts of our team. She is like the loudest cheerer I think I've ever met. And I get so much energy from listening to her cheers. So if we could have everyone that could come out and support us, like we talked about last year, like our victory and our experience with that was for the whole community of Tucson. Like Tucson itself is a huge triathlon, cycling, what have it, community. And so I think, just any support, and we'll make it entertaining. So
Promise.
Please come.
Also, we could hear all the support at the home race just a month and a half ago, and I think it was also like a huge support, and it made a difference. So please come out there and cheer us on.
Mm-hmm. Tempe might not be our like legitimate home, but it's pretty close. So the fact that we can have the nationals in Arizona is pretty cool. So I think it'll be impressive to watch, impressive to see everything. And a lot of people haven't seen collegiate triathlon actually racing, so might as well see it once.
Anything else for the athletes? All good? All right, thank you guys.
Thank you
Thank
guys so
you.
much.